What if one of the most powerful things you could do for your body this week costs less than a cup of coffee and is already sitting in your spice rack right now? What if just 2 tiny dried buds, eaten every single day, could quietly start changing things inside you that you can't even see yet, things you'd only notice once it was already happening? Before we go any further, let's make a deal. You give me the next few minutes of your time, and I'll give you something most people never bother to learn about the spice sitting forgotten in their own kitchen. All I ask in return is one simple thing. Tap that like button right now before you forget, and if you haven't already, hit subscribe. Not because I need the number to go up, but because this channel only keeps growing when people like you decide this kind of information is worth passing along to someone else. Deal? Good. Let's get into it. Cloves are so common that most people walk right past them without a second thought. They sit in a small jar at the back of the spice cabinet, pulled out maybe twice a year for a holiday recipe, then pushed to the back again and forgotten. But this little brown bud, shaped almost like a tiny nail, has been treated as medicine for over 2,000 years across completely different parts of the world. Ancient court officials in China were once required to chew on cloves before they were allowed to speak to the emperor, simply to keep their breath fresh in his presence. Traditional healers in India crushed cloves into pastes for toothaches centuries before modern dentistry existed. And for a long stretch of history, entire trade routes were fought over. Ships were lost, and wars were waged, all over control of this one small spice. People don't go to war over something that does nothing. So what is actually happening inside a clove that makes it powerful enough to be fought over? The answer comes down mostly to one compound, eugenol. Eugenol is a natural oil that makes up a surprisingly large portion of a clove's total weight, and it is incredibly potent, even in tiny amounts. It carries strong antibacterial properties, meaning it can fight off harmful bacteria living in your mouth, your gut, and even on the surface of your skin. It also has antifungal properties, which is part of why it's been used for generations against stubborn infections that other remedies couldn't seem to touch. And on top of that, it has real anti-inflammatory effects, calming down swelling and irritation wherever it's applied or consumed, whether that's a sore joint or an upset stomach. But eugenol isn't working alone in there. Cloves also carry a surprising amount of manganese, a mineral your body quietly depends on for healthy bone structure and a properly functioning metabolism. They contain vitamin K, which plays a direct role in how your blood clots and how your bones stay dense and strong as you age. They're loaded with antioxidants, the same class of protective compounds found in blueberries and green tea, which help your cells defend themselves against the slow daily damage caused by stress, pollution, and simply being alive. And despite their tiny size, cloves pack in a surprising amount of fiber too, which plays its own quiet role in keeping digestion steady. Put all of that together, and you start to understand why this spice has survived in kitchens, medicine chests, and healing traditions for thousands of years while trends come and gone. This isn't hype dreamed up for social media. It's chemistry that has been tested by time itself. Here's something most people don't realize. Even modern dentists still rely on eugenol today. Walk into almost any dental office and you'll catch a faint, distinctive smell in the air. That smell is clove oil. For over a century, dentists have used eugenol-based pastes as a temporary numbing agent and as a way to disinfect cavities before fillings go in. So this isn't some forgotten folk remedy that science quietly left behind. It's a compound that modern medicine still trusts, just usually without telling you where it actually comes from. But understanding the science behind something is one thing. Actually living it out, day by day, watching your own body respond, is where this whole story becomes real. So let's say you decide to try it yourself. Just 2 cloves a day for 7 days, nothing more complicated than that. What would you actually notice happening day by day inside your own body? On the first 2 days, most people don't feel like much has changed at all, and that can feel a little disappointing if you were expecting something dramatic. But that quiet start is actually a good sign, because underneath the surface, your body's adjusting, recalibrating, getting used to this small new daily habit. Somewhere around the end of day 2, though, a lot of people report something subtle but genuinely pleasant. Their stomach feels calmer than it has in a while, less bloated. Meals that usually leave them feeling heavy and sluggish start to feel just a little lighter going down. This happens because eugenol has a gentle relaxing effect on the muscles of the digestive tract, easing the kind of cramping and tension that comes from trapped gas or slow digestion. By day 3, something else starts to show up, something other people might actually notice before you do. Your breath. Cloves are one of the strongest natural breath fresheners that exist, not because they simply mask odor the way a piece of mint gum does, but because they go after and kill the bacteria actually causing the smell in the first place. Around the same time, many people also notice their gums feel a little less tender than usual. If you've ever dealt with sore or inflamed gums after brushing, this is often the point where a real, noticeable difference starts to appear. Day 4 tends to bring more of the same effects, but slightly stronger and more consistent than before. The antibacterial action keeps quietly building in your mouth and throughout your gut. And some people describe a feeling of their whole digestive system finally settling down. Almost like background noise you didn't realize was there, finally turning down to a comfortable level. Day 5 is where things start to feel a bit more physical, a bit harder to ignore. A number of people report a warm, almost tingling sensation spreading through their hands and feet. This is closely linked to improved blood circulation. Eugenol has a mild but measurable effect on blood flow, helping warm blood reach the smaller vessels in your fingers and toes more easily. If you're someone who normally struggles with cold hands or cold feet, especially in the evenings, this is often the exact day people say they notice the difference the most. By day 6, your immune system quietly becomes the star of the show. If you walked into this week already dealing with a mild cold, some lingering congestion, or just that run-down feeling, this is frequently when people report breathing a little easier and thinking a little more clearly. The antioxidants found in cloves work alongside their antibacterial compounds to give your immune system some welcome extra support, almost like sending in reinforcements right when your body needs them most. And then there's day 7. The day a lot of people describe afterward as the real turning point of the whole week. Energy levels feel noticeably higher, often without an obvious explanation for why. Sugar cravings, the stubborn kind that hit hard in the middle of the afternoon, often feel weaker than usual or sometimes disappear from the picture entirely. Partly because cloves have a gentle stabilizing effect on blood sugar, and many people mention their skin looking just a touch clearer and calmer by this point, which is likely connected to steadier digestion and that ongoing antioxidant support working quietly from the inside out. It's worth saying clearly that not everyone will experience this equally. Bodies are different. Someone who already eats a fairly clean diet might notice the circulation and energy effects first, while someone whose gut has been struggling might feel digestive changes sooner. That's not a flaw in the remedy. It's just how the human body actually works. The pattern described here is simply the most common one reported, not a guarantee carved in stone. Now here's the part that matters most, the part that separates honest information from empty promises. This isn't magic, and 7 days of 2 cloves isn't going to undo years of poor habits. But what this experiment does show is something genuinely worth paying attention to. A tiny, cheap, completely natural spice can create real, noticeable shifts in how your body feels. In a world full of expensive supplements, promising the world and delivering very little, that's something worth sitting with for a moment. Quick pause before we go any further, because what's coming next might be the single most useful part of this entire video. I'm about to walk you through specific, practical ways to use cloves for specific problems, things like joint pain, anxiety, sore throats, low energy, and more. If that sounds useful, hit like. Subscribing means you'll catch the next video where we dig into another overlooked everyday remedy. Now let's get into the recipes. First, for bloating. Take 3 or 4 cloves in water. Boil for 5 minutes, strain, and drink warm after eating to relax the digestive tract. Second, for blood sugar. Soak 2 cloves in a glass of water overnight. In the morning, drink it on an empty stomach before eating or drinking anything else. Third, for a cold, crush 2 cloves into a teaspoon of raw honey and take before bed. This soothes an irritated throat and calms a persistent cough. Fourth, for toothaches. Mix 2 drops of clove oil with coconut oil and rub onto the area. Fifth, for joints. Massage with warm olive oil infused with crushed cloves. Sixth, for circulation. Boil 2 cloves in fresh ginger for 5 minutes, then drink in the morning for natural warmth that supports healthy blood flow. Seventh, for daily immunity. Grind cloves and cinnamon into a powder to sprinkle on coffee or oatmeal. It is an effortless way to fold benefits into your routine. The 8th recipe is for stress and that racing, anxious feeling that won't quiet down no matter what you try. Crush 3 or 4 cloves and drop them into a bowl of steaming hot water. Lean over the bowl carefully, drape a towel over your head to trap the rising steam, and breathe deeply for 5 to 10 minutes. The scent released by eugenol has a genuinely calming effect on the nervous system. It won't single-handedly solve every problem weighing on your mind, but it can meaningfully help quiet down a busy, overwhelmed head for a few minutes, and sometimes that's exactly what you need to reset. The 9th recipe builds on that same steam method, but this time it's aimed at sinus congestion and the dull, pressing headaches that come along with it. Add a teaspoon of dried mint or eucalyptus leaves to the same hot water and crushed cloves from before. Breathing in this combined steam helps loosen built-up mucus, gradually opens blocked sinuses, and eases the heavy pressure behind your eyes and forehead that so often comes with sinus-related headaches. The 10th recipe deals with something a lot of people feel a little embarrassed to even bring up: stubborn fungal infections on the skin, especially around the feet. Boil 10 cloves in 2 cups of water for about 10 minutes to create a strong, concentrated tea. Then let it cool down completely before using it. Soak clean feet in this tea for 20 minutes a day. The antifungal strength packed into eugenol goes to work directly on stubborn infections that ordinary soap and water alone simply can't seem to touch. The 11th recipe helps with nausea, whether it's coming from motion sickness, a generally upset stomach, or just that vague queasy feeling that won't quite go away. Steep 2 crushed cloves along with a thin slice of lemon in a cup of hot water for 10 minutes. Then sip it slowly rather than drinking it all at once. This particular combination settles the stomach gently and effectively, without leaving you feeling drowsy the way some other nausea remedies often do. The 12th recipe is for lower back pain and muscle spasms, the frustrating kind that make it genuinely hard to even get out of bed comfortably some mornings. Warm half a cup of mustard oil over low heat, add 10 to 12 crushed cloves, and let the mixture heat gently for about 5 minutes before letting it cool and straining it out. Massage this warm oil into the painful area with firm, steady strokes. It sinks deep into the muscle tissue, easing stubborn spasms and reducing inflammation from the inside out. The 13th recipe is for a sore, scratchy throat or the early signs of laryngitis when your voice starts sounding rough and strained. Crush 2 cloves and stir them into a glass of warm water along with half a teaspoon of sea salt. Gargle with this mixture for 30 seconds at a time, several times throughout the day. The combination of salt and eugenol works directly on inflamed throat tissue, calming irritation noticeably faster than plain salt water on its own ever could. The 14th recipe is for anyone hoping for a bit of extra mental sharpness and clarity. Blend 2 crushed cloves together with a handful of walnuts and a cup of milk, or a plant-based alternative if that's what you prefer. Cloves help support healthy blood flow, including circulation to the brain, while walnuts bring in beneficial fats that your brain genuinely depends on to function well. Together, they form a simple, completely natural way to support your focus and memory over time, rather than overnight. And the 15th recipe, the simplest one of the entire list, is for bad breath. Just place a single whole clove in your mouth and let it sit there for a while, gently biting down every so often to slowly release its oils. Within just a few minutes, its powerful antibacterial action goes straight to work on the bacteria actually causing the odor, leaving your breath noticeably fresher without a single artificial chemical or synthetic mint involved. The 16th recipe is for tired, puffy eyes after a long night of poor sleep. Brew a mild clove tea using just 1 clove in a cup of hot water, then let it cool completely until it's only slightly warm. Soak 2 cotton pads in the liquid, squeeze out the excess, and rest them gently over closed eyes for 10 minutes. The mild anti-inflammatory effect can help reduce puffiness, while the warmth alone often feels like a small reset for a tired face. The 17th and final recipe is for general daily wellness, for anyone who doesn't have a specific complaint but simply wants to build a long-term habit. Add 1 whole clove to your regular pot of tea, whether that's black tea, green tea, or even just hot water with lemon. Let it steep alongside everything else for 5 minutes before drinking. It's a quiet, almost invisible way to bring the benefits of cloves into a day that's already busy enough without adding anything complicated to it. If you've made it this far into the video, you clearly care about understanding things properly, instead of just skimming the surface for quick answers, and that's genuinely rare these days. Drop a comment below with the number of the remedy you're most excited to try first. I read through these myself, and it honestly helps me know exactly what to cover in future videos. And if you still haven't subscribed yet, now is a great time to do it, because the next video covers something just as surprising and just as overlooked as this one. Now, with all of that said, cloves are genuinely powerful, and powerful things in nature almost always come with their own set of rules. This next part is the section most other videos quietly skip over, either because it isn't exciting enough to keep people watching, or because nobody bothered to research it properly in the first place. But it might honestly be the most important part of everything you've heard so far. The part that decides whether this remedy helps you or quietly works against you. First, don't go overboard, no matter how good these results sound. 2 to 3 cloves. A day is a sensible, safe limit to stay within. Eating more than that can irritate your stomach lining and end up causing real discomfort instead of relief. This isn't one of those situations where more automatically equals better results. Like most natural remedies that actually work, the benefit here comes from steady consistency over time, not from piling on a larger quantity all at once. Second, if you're currently on blood-thinning medication, this particular remedy isn't for you, at least not without speaking to your doctor first. Cloves have a natural measurable effect on blood clotting, and combining that effect with prescribed blood thinners can meaningfully increase your risk of unwanted bleeding. This is one of those situations where checking with a medical professional first isn't just optional caution, it's genuinely necessary for your safety. Third, if you're currently pregnant or breastfeeding, please speak with your doctor before adding cloves into your routine as a regular daily remedy. There simply isn't enough solid, conclusive research yet on how concentrated daily doses might affect pregnancy or nursing baby, so it's far better to stay cautious than to take on an unnecessary risk. Fourth, Never swallow cloves whole and dry, no matter how convenient it might seem. Always soak them first, brew them into a tea, or crush them before use. Eating them whole and completely dry can be far too harsh on your stomach lining, and in some cases, they can even pose a real choking hazard, particularly for children or older adults. A little bit of simple preparation goes a long way toward making this remedy both genuinely safe and genuinely effective. And finally, always remember that cloves are meant to be a support, not a replacement for everything else. They are not a substitute for prescribed medication, a properly balanced diet, adequate sleep, or seeing an actual doctor when something feels seriously wrong with your body. Think of cloves as one small, smart addition to a life you're already actively trying to take care of, not as some miracle cure that conveniently replaces every other healthy habit you should be building. So, what's the real, honest truth behind eating 2 cloves a day for 7 days? It's not about overnight miracles or some dramatic transformation you'll suddenly see staring back at you in the mirror. It's something quieter than that, and in some ways it's even more impressive once you really think about it. It's about a tiny, completely ordinary spice working steadily away in the background, supporting your digestion, strengthening your natural defenses, calming inflammation, and giving your body small, consistent nudges in the right direction, one single day at a time, without asking for anything dramatic from you in return. Most people spend real money chasing after complicated solutions, expensive supplements wrapped in shiny packaging, and trendy powders. Meanwhile, something this simple, this cheap, and this accessible has been sitting quietly in their kitchen the entire time, completely overlooked. You don't need anything fancy to get started here. You don't need a special diet, an expensive subscription, or some complicated step-by-step plan. You just need 2 small dried buds, a little bit of consistency, and 7 honest days. If this video opened your eyes to something you genuinely didn't expect when you clicked on it, do one last thing for me before you go. Hit that like button and share this with someone. Real lasting health doesn't always come from something expensive or complicated, and subscribe so you don't miss whatever we uncover together next. Because here's the truth, nobody tells you often enough. We spend so much energy searching for the next big breakthrough, the next miracle pill, the next viral trend, that we forget to look down at what's already sitting on our own shelf. Sometimes, the most powerful changes in life don't come from discovering something brand new at all. They come from finally paying close attention to what was sitting right in front of you. The entire time, 2 small buds, 1 week, and a body that was simply waiting for you to notice it. The journey of natural health starts with these small, consistent steps that build into a lifetime of wellness.